Okay, so besides me looking like a grease ball, I'm about 35% into Credence. I really truly don't know what to think about this book. So we meet the main character, Tiernan, and she loses her parents unexpectedly, so she then has to, well, she has a choice. She can either emancipate herself, or she can go live with her uncle, who she didn't even know existed, and his two sons. I feel like one of the reasons that she wanted to get out of her house, because she had enough money, and she had like a nanny slash caregiver that could have taken care of her. She turns 18 in 10 weeks. So theoretically she could have just stayed. However, I do think one curiosity about this family that she didn't know about, her family didn't even tell her, her parents didn't even tell her she had an uncle or half uncle, whatever he is, step uncle, in that she had cousins, but also just the fact that she wanted to get away from social media. People are tweeting her saying her parents don't love her and this, that, and the third, because of the situation in which her parents left her in. So she's curious of what they're like. However, as we get further into this book, we realize that every character in this book has serious issues. So Tiernan's a little bit understandable. She lost her parents. Her parents have left her in this secluded mindset where she struggles in terms of her emotions, social skills, stuff like that. Everybody in this book is in a pretty secluded space. Her uncle and cousin live on top of this mountain where they really don't interact with anyone else except themselves and some random women that they mess with all the time, in their own little space. So it's just so odd. Apparently the camera was flipped the wrong way, so forgive those last few clips. But I truly just don't know how I feel about these characters. So first off, let's talk about Tiernan. She is so jacked up, emotionally. She has turned into this, I'm trying not to give as many spoilers, just in case you haven't read this book. I don't really know. Maybe we could do a live stream where we talk about this book, because I do want to talk about it, but I don't want to ruin it for people that haven't read it, because it is a wild ride of emotions, I'm sure you all. So I truly just don't know how I feel about Tiernan. She's truly just hypersexual. I don't know. I need to this is my first Penelope Douglas book, so I don't truly know what her writing is about. But how does anybody go from Tiernan's situation where you've lost your parents, you're going through all these emotions, you're living with these new men, and the only thing you can think about is sex? Sex. I understand she's truly not related to these people, but what? And in terms of her uncle, you truly teeter back and forth in regards to how you feel about him, because you truly don't know where he stands. He expresses he's not good in terms of his relationships with females. He explains, the boy's mother, his first love, all those things. And you teeter back and forth between either you feel sorry for him or you don't feel sorry for him. And at some point he does act like he truly understands what Tiernan needs as a guardian and just as a decent human being, but then he doesn't do that. And then you have his two boys. In terms of all the characters, I think Noah, for right now, is my favorite, because he seems the most logical out of the four. His brother Caleb just seems crazy aggressive, and he doesn't talk, so you really don't know what to think about him, besides, spoiler alert if you don't want to hear it, spoiler alert, he tries to have sex with her aggressively, but then she kind of liked it, but really he kind of tried to rape her because he didn't even know who she was and tried to have sex with her. So that's all you're truly left with, is this aggression that he has that she somewhat liked. And Noah to this point really hasn't shown anything crazy. but I know it's going to. It's just weird. I don't know. They all have this crazy, weird, like, attraction towards her, which is weird because they're her uncle cousins, step uncle cousins. So, like, I don't know. But as I said, I'm only 35 pages in, so I'm going to keep reading. The goal is to finish this book ASAP. So I'm basically just going to be doing reading all day, and I'll update you when I get about 50% in. Hey Cupcakes, so it's July 5th. I think I put in like a few clips or whatever of like the July 4th and stuff that I've been doing. I haven't been filming a lot because I've been really busy with the weekend and the holiday and all those things. So today we're going to go get our nails done, and we might run a few errands. And then we're going to talk about Credence because I am 50% in. So I'm looking forward to sharing my thoughts with you all. So we got our nails done. How cute is this color? Ooh. It's like a reddish orangish color, but I thought it was really pretty, especially since I don't typically do reds. But I thought it'd be really cute for like the summertime. So like I said, I'm a little bit over 50% of Credence. And as you can see, like I've made so many notes and stuff because we have so much to talk about. I definitely think that it's really picked up in like the 50% range in terms of like things going on, like the different events that are going on that really get the story going. That really jumped out to me was the fact that their dynamics are now changing in terms of how they're treating Tiernan. I don't really think that Caleb's dynamic has changed too much. I'm pretty sure like his dynamic is pretty much gonna stay the same throughout the whole book. We have noticed that he is a little bit more protective of her, and I kind of like that. Like I'm kind of rooting for Caleb. He gives me like Frankenstein vibes. Like I don't know why. I don't even know if that makes sense, but if you've read the book, then let me know if you agree with me there. At one point, you know, they're at this event, you know, she's dancing with this girl named Cece who we really don't know how we feel about her yet. Like she gives me someone we're really not supposed to trust and giving me like the enemy vibes of the book, her and this other guy. However, like who can we really trust in this book? Like this book isn't really telling us who we could trust. We want to trust Jake and her cousins and all of that, but then we see how they act when they're in the house. Like, so I don't know. But either way, she's dancing like sexy with this guy or this girl, and he does not like it. Like Jake pulls her off the dance floor and says, everybody with a is looking at you. Talking about all the guys are looking at them, and he does not like that. So then, you know, she's like, well, you know, how come I can't get male attention? You all get all this female attention. You bring all these women to the house. Why can't I get that kind of same respect? And he's like, well, nobody's made claim to us, so we can act however the way we want to act. And you're a young woman in our home. So at this time, like he said that they claim her because she's a young woman in their house. So we have that claim type deal. So again, she's a possession. They're not treating her as an actual person, which is interesting. However, then she follows up with like this weird statement. And yes, I wrote all this down so I can remember to tell y'all. If you all are claiming me, you're not doing for me what other men can do. So again, she's throwing those like weird I don't even know, very sexual vibes. And in my head, I'm like, ma'am, cousins, uncle, do you remember who these people are supposed to be? Like, I know they're not your real cousins, your real uncle. Like, however, can we at least play like they are? Like, can we act like that? Like, come on now, throw me a bone here. Forward, you know, the boys are having hanky-panky. She comes down to the kitchen thinking everybody's busy. She goes to make her a meal or whatever. She's in like a t-shirt and her underwear. And Jake actually isn't hanky-pankying. So he comes down there. He's all looking at her, probably lustfully. And he's like, I just don't think that this is a good idea to have you here. And she's like, what? Like, she's kind of confused on why he would say that. And he's like, the reason why we have all these women here is because we soak up for the winter. Basically, you're a bear, sir. You're going into hibernation, so you're making sure you get your little, before you go in for the winter time, before you get stuck in this, you know, this house with all these men. She's upset that he's saying this because to her, he's taught her what it's like to not be alone. So understanding her as a person, like, she's used to not getting people interaction. She's finally getting it. She's finally getting people that, you know, are protective of her and love her and are treating her with anything, any kind of attention, because she's used to not getting that. And she's saying that he's made her be seen. He's helped her feel seen in this world, and she hasn't been used to that. She doesn't want to lose that. So then she says to herself that they actually won't be alone for the winter. They'll have me. Ma'am. So then Jake, you know, he says it's just not a good idea. He can only think of her despite of all these women coming in the house. And I mean, it becomes this steamy yet icky scene in the kitchen. Like, I don't know what to think about it. So then also, like, after all the ick is out of the way, what's really interesting is that Jake kind of calls her out. Now, understand this. I was so conflicted with this because I was kind of rooting for him in this moment because I wanted her to hear what he had to say, but I'm like, are you the most appropriate person to say it? Because, spoiler alert, you're trying to get in her drawers. So, like, are you truly the person that should be telling her in this moment the way she's acting if you're not helping in how she's acting? Begins to tell her this can't happen. I'm your uncle. She's like, you were never my uncle. You're a no relation stranger to my parents sent for me to live with. Which, so now we're getting to the nitty gritty where she's like, screw it. Like, I'm not related to these people. Like, that gives me the right to do these things to them that I keep thinking about. So then he literally tells her, which, shout out to Jake in this one aspect for just being a real one and really understanding, you know, the flaws in what they're doing. He said, I'm lonely and an emotional stunted child, and you're the first woman I've been around long enough to get connected to in the past 20 years. And you're just a neglected orphan desperate for attention. That's all this is. Honey, when I read that, I said, this should be the end of the book. I mean, stop it right there, because at this point, Jake, you've admitted all of this. How can you even proceed any further? How? You're right. All of it. Correct. He brings up, you know, the fact that she doesn't talk about her parents. She uses basically them and this area, you know, we talked about it in the beginning. She uses this all as like an escape from her reality, which is true. And is she really dealing with the issues that she should be dealing with instead of using them, as he calls it, an escape drug? I mean, this is all really, truly true. And it's something that, you know, you do tend to think about in the book as you watch her go through these different emotions and this desperation for attention. So it kind of goes a little bit deeper, but I'm not going to spoil that for y'all. However, And I think I'm going to do this video in 2 parts, just so y'all know. Because, I mean, I don't know. My editing skills aren't that good. So, we're just going to, you know, do what it do and put together what we can. And then be ready for part 2 when it come out. So, in the last aspect, Tiernan has a few thoughts. After thinking about the conversations that she's just now had with Jake, she then realizes, like, okay, so if all that's true, let's say all that is true that you've said, and she kind of says this, you know, she's thinking about this to herself. If this is the reason why she's acting like that towards him, what is his excuse for acting this way towards her? And he doesn't, I mean, he kind of goes into it, like, she's the first female he's been around in a while, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he really doesn't go into it. So, let's see what happens in part 2. I'll see you later, cupcakes. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.